A margin account is a type of investment account that allows investors to borrow money from a brokerage firm to purchase securities. With a margin account, investors can increase their buying power and potentially earn higher returns on their investments, but they also expose themselves to greater risk. In this video, we'll take a closer look at margin accounts, including how they work, their advantages and disadvantages, and how to use them wisely. How does a margin account work? When you open a margin account, you're essentially borrowing money from your brokerage firm to invest in securities. The amount of money you can borrow depends on your account's margin requirements, which are set by the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA. The amount of money you can borrow is typically a percentage of the total value of your securities. This is called your margin requirement. For example, if you have $10,000 worth of securities in your account and your margin requirement is 50%, you could borrow up to $5,000 from your brokerage firm. When you use margin to buy securities, you're essentially using leverage to increase your buying power. This means you can potentially earn higher returns on your investments, but it also means you're exposed to greater risk. There are several advantages to using a margin account, including increased buying power. With a margin account, you can potentially increase your buying power and invest in more securities than you could with just your own money. Leverage. By using margin to invest, you can potentially earn higher returns on your investments than you would with just your own money. Flexibility. With a margin account, you can typically buy and sell securities more easily than you could with a cash account. While there are many benefits to using a margin account, there are also some potential disadvantages to consider, including higher risk. When you use margin to invest, you're exposing yourself to greater risk. If your investments don't perform as expected, you could lose more money than you initially invested. Interest costs. When you borrow money from your brokerage firm to invest, you'll typically be charged interest on the amount you borrow. This can eat into your returns and increase your overall costs. Margin calls. If your investments decline in value, you may be required to add more money to your account to meet your margin requirements. This is called a margin call, and it can be stressful and expensive. How to use margin accounts wisely. If you're considering using a margin account, here are some tips to help you use it wisely. Understand your margin requirements. Be sure to understand your account's margin requirements and how they're calculated. This will help you avoid unexpected margin calls and stay within your borrowing limits. Invest wisely. When investing with margin, it's important to choose your investments carefully. Look for securities that have a good track record and are likely to perform well in the future. Manage your risk. When using margin to invest, it's important to manage your risk carefully. Consider using stop-loss orders to limit your losses if your investments decline in value. Don't overextend yourself. Be careful not to overextend yourself when using margin. It can be tempting to borrow as much money as possible to invest, but this can be risky and could lead to a margin call. Monitor your account. Be sure to monitor your margin account regularly to ensure that you're meeting your margin requirements and to avoid unexpected margin calls. Margin accounts can be a powerful tool for investors who want to increase their buying power and potentially earn higher returns on their investments. However, they also expose investors to greater risk and can be expensive if not used wisely.